Hey friends, welcome back. Today I've got another edition of what I've been reading, so stay tuned to see 5 of the books I've read recently. If you're new around here, I do hope that you enjoyed the video and consider subscribing to be a part of the family. Also consider heading over to my Instagram page and following us over there as well for more fun stuff. So today is another book review or what I've been reading. I'm going to go over 5 books that I've read recently or somewhat recently. I'm a little behind on posting these videos. So I am going to be recording a few of these today and posting them like once a week over the next few weeks. I do want to say, typically when I say that I have read the book, I mean that I have listened to it on my phone. I use audiobooks through a free app at my library called Libby. L-I-B-B-Y. You can check it out and see if your library participates as well. I like audio because I'm able to listen to it whenever I want, whether it be while I'm driving, while I'm grocery shopping, while I'm cooking, etc. I do read some like physical books, but not many, if I'm being honest. So anyway, when I say the word read, it's interchangeable with what I've listened to or what I've read. So let's get started. The first book is called Only Child by Rhiannon Navin, and I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. So if you're familiar with the book Room, which was then adapted into a movie, this took on sort of a similar feel in the sense that the narrator was a young child. Immediately I got like a love and protection over the narrator being a mother of children around that age. 6-year-old Zach is a survivor of a school shooting, and very quickly you realize that his brother was not a survivor. So in their household, you see Zach, again, this is narrated and told from his point of view throughout the entire book. You see the realization as it hits him that his brother's not coming home. You see how he perceives his parents handling their grief and just running the gamut of emotions. And his parents basically spiraling out of control emotionally. I mean, they've lost it, and understandably so. And it's I was in tears or like teary-eyed within the first 5 minutes of the story. Like I said, maybe it's because I'm a mother. I'm also just a very sensitive person. But this was a really good, heartfelt, sad story. But if you liked the book Room, I highly recommend it. The next book is Quickie by James Patterson. I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. I haven't read a James Patterson book in forever, and I don't know why, because I love his books. I love how fast they are. His chapters are super short, so everything's just boom, 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 and I get through them really quickly. So in this one, Lauren thinks her husband is having an affair, and so in her mind, to get even with her husband, she decides to have a one-night stand herself. And the next thing you know, she, like in the midst of said attempted one-night stand, she hears a scuffle outside and she sees her husband loading her dead lover's body into the trunk of a vehicle. The twist is that Lauren herself is a New York cop and she is assigned the case of said body. And so the book is like, you see her being torn between, do I protect my husband and try to save my marriage, or do I do my job? Again, very fast read. It was enjoyable. If you like James Patterson and have not read this one, definitely recommend. Book number 3 is called Betrayed by Lisa Scottolini. I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. This is the second in the Rosato and D'Annunzio series by this author, and I've really been enjoying them. You'll see a few of them coming up in my book reviews. I read the first one in the series during my last book review video, which I'll try and link up top. The series itself centers on a law firm of women, and this book centers around one of those lawyers. So Judy is an associate at the law firm, and her aunt's good friend Iris shows up dead in her vehicle, and her death is ruled a heart attack. Now the catch is Iris is an illegal immigrant, and Judy thinks that there's more to the death of Iris than is being exposed, especially when they find $50,000 hidden all over Judy's aunt's house, which Iris had access to. And so the assumption is that Iris was hiding money in Judy's aunt's house. And so anyway, Judy takes on the case and tries to get to the bottom of whether or not Iris was killed for one reason or another. Illegal immigrant, hidden money, things aren't adding up, or if it was indeed a heart attack. However, when Judy starts snooping around, she realizes very quickly that there definitely was more to it, and she ends up on the wrong side of things very quickly. and that the story just kind of unfolds from there. The fourth book is Let's Explore Diabetes with Owls by David Sedaris, or Sedaris. I gave this 3 out of 5 stars, probably more like 2.5 out of 5. I have read some David Sedaris like years and years ago in high school when he was like, oh, read this guy, he's funny and dry and whatever. This one was entertaining enough to keep me from shelving the book, because that's another thing as I've gotten older. I don't waste my time on books that don't catch my interest fairly quickly. Like if it's an audiobook and I'm not interested within the first hour, I shelve it. So anyway, this one was entertaining enough to keep me like going while running errands or folding laundry. It wasn't one where I was like deeply invested, because if you're not familiar, his books are all like short stories and memoirs. Some of them were hilarious and other of them were like, okay, I could have done without that, but I got through it. It is what it is. His writing style is extremely blunt, so if you aren't into that sort of thing, or if you're offended easily, probably wouldn't pick this one up. But if you want something that's just kind of a interesting memoir of sorts, he's seen some really crazy things in his years of traveling abroad and like writing around the world. So yeah, it's alright. Alright, if I'm in a different position, it's because I actually got up, because this book, I did read the physical copy. This book is called How the Light Gets In by Jelena Petersheim. I had the privilege, oh, and I gave this 5 out of 5. I would have given it like 6 out of 5. This is probably one of my favorite books I've read of all time. No joke. I was actually on the launch team for this book. If you are on my Instagram or anything like that, you've probably seen me mention this back a month or so ago when the book was coming out. So one of my best friends, Kaylin, actually went to college with the author of this book, and she sent me some info and said, hey, I think that this book launch would be right up your alley. Check it out. So I did. So I actually have it signed, which is also kind of cool. So anyway, to the storyline. I'm telling you, I think every woman should read this book, and I'm going to tell you why. This book is beautifully bittersweet, is the best way that I can say it. It's technically classified as like an Amish fiction, which is completely outside of my realm of like expertise or reading style, but there's just, I can't even put it into words. Okay, I'm gonna try. So the story centers around Ruth, who is a wife and a mother of 2 young children, 2 daughters. When Ruth's husband and father-in-law are both killed in a bombing overseas, Ruth, her 2 daughters, and her mother-in-law pick up and move back to Wisconsin to the childhood home in a Mennonite community where her husband was like raised. Upon arrival, they are welcomed by Elam, which is her husband's cousin, and he runs a cranberry farm. That's like their way of life, and he welcomes them into their home. He's very quiet and introverted and just like a very shy individual. During Ruth's grief process, she falls in love with the beauty of the land and the family there. She finds solace in just the solitude and the quiet as she's kind of going through her grief. Her girls develop a closer relationship with their grandmother, and Ruth even kind of opens up to the possibility of a love interest in Elam. So you see all of this unfold as Elam is he's single. He's like in his 40s, I would say, and never married, never had like any sort of relationship, and watching him fall in love with Ruth and vice versa is just, it was beautiful. But there's a huge twist. There's multiple twists, if I'm being honest, which I'm going to leave off here because it would just, you need to, as the reader, like feel that as you're reading, and so I don't want to give any of that away. When I hit the very last page, I felt gutted. I was raw. I sat there in complete disbelief, like just disbelief. I could not understand. It took me, I had to have a moment of like quiet and what the heck just happened, if I'm being honest. As you can see, I'm kind of floundering with my description, and it's because the emotions that this book brought forth from Ruth's like heartbreaking and healing story, it's nearly impossible for me to put into words. As you can see, I'm probably not even doing this justice, and if that tells you anything, it just tells you how, like, I mean, this book was so impactful. Ugh, guys, As a wife and as a mother of young children, this hit me to my core. It's about healing. It's about marriage. It's about mothering and finding your own person. It's about the sanctity of marriage. The further I got into the story and the more that was unraveling, the more my heart tightened and the more tears were shed, and it was, yeah. Honestly, I don't think the ending was anything that anyone would see coming. And it was so fun because in the launch team, we got to interact with Jolena, the author, and it was just a really fun experience. So anyway, out of these 5 books that I just talked to you about, please do yourself a favor, pick up this book. So many things about it were like not, like I said, not like what I would typically read, and so I was like, okay, you know, it's an experience. I've never been on a book launch team. Gosh, I am so glad that this book fell into my life when it did. Let's just put it that way. So anyway, this one again is How the Light Gets In. I'll leave links to all the books down below, but thank you so much for watching. I am actually going to turn around and record a second book video, which will be up sometime after this one. I don't know when, probably in a week or so. So I'm gonna get that out of the way, but thank you so much for watching. Drop me a comment of suggestions of books that you've been listening to or reading, because I'm always in the market for more. I love me some books. In fact, my shirt says, all I need is books and coffee. And I just drank my cup of coffee before I sat down to film, so now I just need some books. So drop them down below. And until next time, we will see you later. Bye!